So can you all see my screen?
Yes, we are able to see.
Okay. So yes, yesterday we started discussing on 3 building blocks of long-lasting relationship. What was the first one? How many of you can remember? What was the first thing that we discussed that was required? R stands for what? Can I see some chat? Yes. Yes, Daksha's story, we learned how respect is important. Yes. So there are 3 building blocks, and yesterday we discussed R, which is the first one. The next one is E. How many of you want to guess what does E stand for? Good. Tejas, very good. Anybody else would like to try? What does E stand for? Yes, yes, yes. You are all very, very intelligent and focused. You know much of it. But yes, we will make our discussion more detail oriented, and we'll see some more practical things. Those of you have said it's correct. It's empathy, and that is today's topic. So let's get started. E stands for empathy-based expectations, not just empathy, but our expectations guided and driven by empathy. Now, I would like to ask you, what does empathy mean? What do you understand by the word empathy? Any answers on the chat? Concern, yes. Seeing it, others' view, okay, wonderful. Ability to understand others' feelings, yes, correct. Tejas, Kashi, Surendra, very nice, wonderful answers. Yes. And any other tries? What is the meaning of empathy? Standing in others' shoes, wonderful. Swarangi, very nice, very close to perfect answer. Being in one's shoes, correct, correct. That's the correct wording. Supporting, Ananya, yes, that's correct. Now, yes, you're rightly tuned in to the word empathy, and I'm sure all of you must be already practicing it. But that when we discuss it and when we churn more, when we go in details, it becomes more embedded in our minds, and that's why we're going to have all our discussions today. So, to start with, yes, my dear friends, you're very close and very in line with the understanding of empathy. And today's case study from Ramayana, we will discuss the case study of Vali and Sugriva. And we'll discuss what happens when there is lack of empathy. And a particular case, this is a very typical story in Ramayana, the ordeal between Vali and Sugriva. And thus we understand, you see, many people say when relationships go wrong, people say, no, you should not have any expectations. But I find it very difficult to digest. How can we have relationships without expectations? I mean, we always, in the back of our mind, we feel, yes, that person should have spoken like that. That person should have acted like that. I could have done like this, things like that. So expectations add various flavors to our relationships. Negating expectations would be quite artificial. But then it is important for us to make sure that we have the right expectations. And right expectations would be possible only when we have empathy. So let us get into the case study of Vali and Sugriva. Obviously, this story is quite long. I'll speak in brief because of our time constraint so that we get the crux of the story. So all of you, how many of you have read Ramayana or heard it or watched it on television? How many of you have? Yes, I see many people raising hand. Yes, we Indians, we grow up seeing, hearing Ramayana and listening. Yes, Swarangi has read it, watched it. Yes, many of you know the stories. But Ramayana is very deep. It's not just the incidents, it's the details that helps us to learn, to relate to. When Lord Ram just does not come to this world, so that we can just tell as a story. He comes to set example. He comes to show us what is the right conduct. So we see, so during the course of Ramayana, there was a time when Mother Sita gets abducted. The evil Ravana comes as a sage and tricks Mother Sita and kidnaps her, takes her away from Lord Ram. Post which Lord Ram and Lakshman, very morose and sad, they start traveling in search of Sita, and they keep searching. And some deers show the path towards southern direction, and they start walking. When they thus walk, they reach a place called Rishimukha Mountains. So in the Rishimukha Mountains, one day, Ram and Lakshman was halting at a place in the forest above, on top of the mountains. And Ram was very sad. He was crying piteously in search, in missing Mother Sita. And there was a monkey nearby. His name was Sugriva. Sugriva happened to hear Lord Ram. And then he sent one of his associates, Hanuman, to check what happened, who is this person, who is Ram, and who are those two people. Because Sugriva was always staying in fear from some person. So when Hanuman went and checked, he found out that Lord Ram and Lakshman were sons of Dashrath and they are banished. So they were in the forest and they were in search of Mother Sita, who had been kidnapped by Ravana. And they came to know, then Hanuman took them and introduced them to Sugriva, and they came to know that Mother Sita had dropped her jewelry, which was found by Sugriva, and Sugriva had kept that in his cave. So Lord Ram was happy one way that he found some clue that Mother Sita had passed over this area and they are in the right direction. And Lord Ram also found it an opportunity to make some allies, to get some help in his search of Mother Sita. So then he asked Sugriva, "Why don't you help me? You have a army of monkeys. So why don't you help me?" And Sugriva said, "Once I was a king and I had the whole of Kishkinda and the whole army of monkeys under my command. But now I have lost everything and I'm living a life here hiding from my own brother Vali." And Lord Ram was surprised. How is that? How did that happen? So he asked Sugriva to explain what had happened. And Sugriva starts telling the story. So Sugriva tells that there was a great monkey king named Riksha Raja, and he had two sons, Vali, the elder one, and Sugriva, the younger one. So after the king passed away, Riksha Raja died. His elder son occupied the throne. Vali became the king. And Sugriva very happily, because he was a devoted and loving brother, he always accompanied his elder brother and was always engaged in serving his elder brother Vali. And Sugriva was very faithful, very honest, very respectful all the time. So Vali and Sugriva together, they stayed in Kishkinda and Vali ruled the kingdom very wonderfully. Once what happened, a great powerful demon came and he started shouting and challenging Vali. His name was Mayavi. So Mayavi came to the outskirts of Kishkinda and he started inciting anger in Vali. And so Vali became enraged and he became very angry and he wanted to punish this demon. So he started chasing the demon. And both Vali and Sugriva dashed towards the demon, Mayavi. And Mayavi saw two huge, powerful monkeys. Now I am telling monkeys, but don't think they are monkeys of, the monkeys that we see in the cities, the small, cute ones on the trees. Actually, they were called Vanaras. Vanaras, the word Vanara also means Nara means human. Vanara means someone who is superior to humans also. So those monkeys were very, very powerful, very huge in size, and they were huge bodied and they had huge strength. Bali, it is explained that he could break, smash mountains with his fist. He could uproot trees as if someone would uproot grass. He was very powerful, and obviously the elder brother Vali was much powerful than Sugriva. So, seeing those two powerful Vanaras charging towards him, Mayavi became very afraid and he started running away. But Vali and Sugriv kept chasing. They chased, and then Mayavi suddenly entered into a hole, into a cave. And so here's the cave. So when Vali and Sugriv saw this Mayavi is entering the cave, Vali went on to chase. And before entering the cave, he told Sugriva, "You wait here. You promise that you will wait here for me until I come out. I will kill the demon, punish his followers, and I'll come out. And you wait here. And in case during our fight, if the demon tries to escape from this cave, you catch him and you kill him." So that was what Vali's instruction to Sugriva was. Vali went in, the demon went inside running, and Vali also went inside the cave running. Now, Sugriva was waiting outside, sitting, waiting for his brother to come. Days passed, weeks passed, months passed, a year passed. A whole year, Sugriva was waiting there for Vali, following his instruction. But he could not see any signs of his brother. After 1 year, suddenly, one day, he saw that huge waves of blood flowing out from that cave, gushing, foaming blood coming out from the cave. And he heard a shout of that demon, but he did not hear any sound of Vali. And he became very worried and tensed. And he thought, it's possible that my brother has been slain. He has been killed by the demon. And what if the demon is so powerful that he has killed my brother? He would come out and create more havoc. So, thinking so, with deep morose and feeling sorry for his brother's death, he covered the mouth of the cave with a huge boulder, huge stone, so that the demon stays inside it trapped. And with a very sorrowful and sad heart, he came back to Kishkinda and explained what had happened to the ministers of the kingdom. And with their guidance, because he was the brother, he was enthroned and he was made the king. So Sugriva became the king with much sadness in his heart, sadness due to losing his own elder brother, who was the rightful king. But Sugriva started ruling the kingdom, and he had his family, his wife Tara, everybody continued for a while. Now, suddenly, what happened? One day, Vali returned. To everybody's surprise, Vali came back. And Sugriva's reaction was amazing. He got down from the throne, he bowed down to his elder brother Vali, and he touched his feet and offered his respects. And he said, "Oh, I'm so happy, my dear brother, that you have come back. I'm very happy that you have come back. Now, this is your throne, your rightful king. Please resume your responsibilities." But Vali was in a fit of anger. He was enraged, so angry. He had thought that this Sugriva wanted to take this chance to trap me there and usurp my kingdom, take my position, take my wealth, and enjoy. And that's why he had not waited for me and closed the cave with a boulder. Yes, that was Vali's conclusion. And he was not ready to listen to what Sugriva had to say. And Vali said, "You Sugriva, you are a wretched person. I don't believe in you. And you have cheated me, you have tried to trap me in the cave and come and take my position here as a king. I banish you from this kingdom. And that's how Sugriva was banished from his own kingdom by his own brother whom he loved so much. Vali did not care to listen to Sugriva at all. And that's how uh, Sugriva had to leave Kishkinda. And not just that, Vali kept chasing Sugriva out and out, and he used to send his armies to kill Sugriva, to destroy Sugriva again and again. And Sugriva went to this Rishimukha mountain, which was the only place where Vali could not come, because Vali had a curse that he could not come to Rishimukha mountains. So Sugriva was hiding there. And when Sugriva narrated this story to Lord Ram empathized with Sugriva and he said, "You have my support. I'll defeat Vali and I'll hand over the rightful kingdom to you, Sugriva." And then Sugriva asked Lord Ram that Vali is very powerful. How do you prove that you can defeat him? He had doubts on Lord Ram, and then we know that story, famous story, where Lord Ram pulls the bow and arrow and shoots through 7 trees and has a clear shot. So Sugriva becomes convinced that Lord Ram is powerful enough to defeat Vali. And then the plan is made. Lord Ram tells Sugriva, "You go and challenge Vali. Both of you fight. And when you're fighting, I'll aim at Vali from a distant place and I'll kill him." So Sugriva goes to Vali and challenges him. He comes out and Vali is surprised. How come Sugriva became so confident? And he starts, challenging him and fighting, roaring, both the powerful Vanaras, throwing fists at each other and pushing and picking up huge boulders and rocks and throwing at each other, and trees throwing at each other. But gradually Sugriva became weaker and weaker because Vali was stronger. And this time, after getting some good thrashing, Sugriva is looking here and there. Where is Lord Ram? Why is he not killing this Vali yet? And he saw, no, there is no signs of Lord Ram shooting this Vali. So Sugriva got up and ran away back to Rishimukha mountains. And he asked Lord Ram, "What happened? Why didn't you shoot the arrow? You wanted me to get killed." And Lord Ram said, "See, both of you are monkeys. You look similar and you're wearing similar clothes. I could not decide who was who." Yes. So this time you go in a different dress, and Lakshmana made a garland of wild creepers and flowers and put on Sugriva's neck. Wearing that garland, Sugriva went again, and Vali thought, how come he's come again? And how dare he? And Vali's wife stopped him to not go. She shared many wise words with Vali that this is not good that you're fighting with your brother, and why has he come back? He must have some powerful allies, that's why he has come back. But then Vali didn't listen, and he was proud and arrogant, and he went ahead to the fight with Sugriva. And then after a fierce battle, when Sugriva was on the ground defeated and Vali was standing broad chested top on his brother, Lord Ram took an arrow, pointed to Vali's chest, and the arrow straight went, pierced Vali, and he fell to the ground. Obviously, there happened some discussion after that, and Vali was blessed by Indra to not die till he had the golden necklace on his neck. But yes, eventually he leaves his body. Lord Ram kills Vali for his past sinful activities of throwing his brother out of his kingdom and taking his wife for his own and usurping everything that his brother had. As the descendants of his father, Lord Ram had to uphold the principles of religion there. But in context of what we are discussing today, this story has wonderful lesson for all of us. What do we learn in terms of empathy in today's case study. What are the lessons that we learn? Anybody would like to contribute? What are the lessons that we learn, specifically to the topic connected that we're discussing today? Think before act, okay? Anything else? Understand others, correct. So Suvarna is telling understand others. That's perfect. Misunderstanding can take lives, yes. Ahamkara is bad. Yes, that is true. We shouldn't jump into conclusions. Perfect, Meenakshi is telling. Always clarify before judging someone. And that's the closest answer that I was looking for. Yes, this particular pastime is a very brilliant example, a typical case of judgment without understanding, which is just the opposite of empathy-based expectations. And my dear friends, this is a vital thing and the biggest mistake that we all most of the times in our lives do. We jump into conclusions and we judge based on our prejudices, based on our biases, based on our previous experiences. We quickly judge people, and for a moment we don't think that why is he doing so? What might be the reason? Should I ask? Should I seek the facts? We don't do that. And that's why we don't give relationships to become better. And we don't give a chance to our relationships to become better. Yes. That's why most of our relationships go on a toss. Many times people don't talk to each other even before separating. They just assume things. Yes. And most funny thing is when it comes to others, we are very quick to judge. Yes. Sometimes we see someone, eating so much, and we say, "Oh, he or she is a glutton, so greedy to eat, always wanting food." When we see someone sleeping a bit more, we say, "Arey, such a lazy person, whole day sleeping, no work, nothing." Yes. And somebody makes some mistake, and we say, "He's a useless fellow. He doesn't have any skills. He doesn't know how to do things, just useless." Yes. And when it comes to ourselves, it's just the opposite. And we are ever ready to justify everything that we do. If we eat more, "Oh, I was hungry." If we sleep more, "I was very tired. Yesterday it was a hectic day and I had to take more rest. I was very tired." And if I fail to do something, "Yeah, I know, but I needed some help. This was not right. That was not right. The circumstance was not right. I didn't have the resources." Various kind of justifications come out. That's our problem, my dear friends. We live a life without empathy towards others. So as I was telling, expectations should be there, would be there in any relationship. But it is important that the expectation should be practical, should be based on empathy, as many of you rightly said, being in others' shoe and understanding, and should be well communicated and discussed, not presumed. In many relationships, this is the biggest problem. If you see in India, we can have many scenarios. First, when people get married, whether most of the cases when the woman comes to the house or the in-laws place, there's a huge mountain of expectations to be met. Yes, she should be able to cook nicely, she should be able to respect the in-laws nicely, she should be able to clean the house nicely, and number of things. When a new person joins office, especially if the person is a fresher, huge expectations. Should have a less learning curve, should come with all the skills required, should not ask for much money or promotions, should do extra time, work well. Yes, nobody really thinks that what is that person's position, isn't it? Not everybody is skilled to the same extent. Not everybody is same. And that is something that we have to engrave in our minds. Not everybody is same. You might be expert in something, the other person might not be expert in something. You see, the 5 fingers in the hand are not equal. But that's not the problem. That's the intelligent design, so that we can hold things nicely. Yes, that's the purpose. That all the fingers are of different sizes. We cannot say, okay, array, your thumb is so small, and this finger is bigger, and this finger is small and weak. No, each finger has its purpose. So that's something that we should practice, to set expectations at the right way. And to explain or elaborate more, to understand what is exactly empathy, we have 2 examples here. One is tree of life. So once what happened, a farmer planted a mango seed to grow a mango tree. In few days, a small plant came out, and the goat came. The goat wanted to eat the leaves, and the farmer said, wait, wait, he will give you leaves after some time. Please come back later. And the plant became a little bigger, and the woodcutters from the nearby villages came, and they wanted to chop off and ask for and take wood for their cooking. And the farmer said, wait, wait, give some time. We'll give wood also. No problem. Just wait, come after some time. Then after a while, some children came and they wanted to, hang from the tree and take fruits from the tree, from the mango plant. The farmer said, wait, wait, it's still growing. It's not yet the time to have fruits. Yes, it's time to put water. It's time to put the fertilizers. It's time to put the fencing around the plant. Come after some time. And sure enough, after some time, the small, tender mango plant grew up into a huge mango tree. And then leaves would fall automatically from the tree, and goats and cows came and rested under the shade, where green grasses grew under the shade, and they ate nicely. From the tree there would fall many dry twigs and branches, and the villagers came and collected all that for their fuel. The small children came, and when the season of mango came, the tree was full, repellent of mangoes, and they happily climbed the branches and took the mangoes. Similarly, in our life, people are going through different stages, different phases. To have the right expectation and right demand at the right time is very important. Very similar example is of that of a growing child. So when a child is growing and it's very small, the parents are just happy if the child eats, sleeps, and passes stool and urine in the diaper. The parents are happy. After a while, they want the child to start crawling, and they say, "Beta, come to me," and they ask, "Please come." And the child starts crawling, and then after a while, they think, "Why teeth is not coming out?" Then after a while, they think, "Why is he not speaking? Let him start speaking." So the parents try hard to speak, make him speak. Tell this, tell Papa, tell Mama, and tries to make the child speak. And gradually the child grows up, and then the expectation is no longer that he would crawl or he would just speak some broken words. After a while, the expectation is he would maybe participate in sports in school and run and take part in various exercises and activities in school. And he's expected to participate in elocution contests and do his own studies. And as he grows up, different expectations come. Just imagine if somebody expects a small child whose teeth is just coming out to eat a full-fledged meal, how that would be. Yes. Same thing applies to every relationship in our life. Empathy based expectation is vital. We have to understand if it is a new relationship or an old relationship. If it is a relationship with our family members, our people in the college, our friends, our colleagues in office, or nature that we're dealing with, other animals that we're dealing with, we have to act based on empathy. We have to feel the other's position and then expect. Many times things take time and we have to be patient. Yes, we have to wait for people to grow up to a particular standard, to give, to contribute. And that's how the farmer of this mango tree waited patiently and acted based on the situation that the tree was. When the tree needed fencing and watering, the farmer did not expect fruits to be given. Yes, he patiently watered. So now, my dear friends, I had lots of practical things for us to do, and that's the important part of discussion today. And I kept a major part of our discussion today for that. And this is important. So please tune in, stay focused, and be attentive. There are 5 important things that we practically have to learn to do if we are not doing, or we can try to do it in a better way so that we can have long lasting, strong relationships in context to empathy based expectations. So, the first thing that we should do is speak sensitively. Very important point. Sensitive. There is no replacement. There is no alternative way for being sensitive in a relationship. And speaking is the first and foremost. Second, developing a virtuous vision. I'll come to the details of these points, but I'm just telling you the 5 things that we have to practically consider. Developing a virtuous vision. Why? We'll come to that. Correcting cautiously. Many times we are in a relationship, we are in a situation where we have to correct others. But that's a very important art. And most of the time, we go wrong there in our corrections. That's why a lot of heartbreaks, a lot of pains happen. Fourth, forgiving. We have to forgive. But when we should forgive, how we should forgive, why we should forgive, and why and when we should not forgive is something that we should learn. And fifth point is 6 loving exchanges. I'll come to the details of it, but 6 loving exchanges are something that we do day in, day out with people. And that's something which makes our relationships strong. And that's why we need to be cognizant, we need to be meticulous, we need to be focused in those areas when we do those 6 loving exchanges. Okay. First, coming to speaking sensitively. What is the meaning of being sensitive? The meaning of being sensitive is we think that if I had been in that person's place and somebody would have told me this, or somebody would have acted in this way to me, how would I have felt? Yes, that is sensitivity. And it is very important to be sensitive when we are speaking, because it is said that tongue does not have any bones, but it is strong enough to break bones. By the harsh words that are spoken using this organ, which does not have any bones. Yes. And most of the problem starts there with our speaking, the way we speak, the way we are insensitive towards people. Now, insensitivity comes not just uh, not just when we deal with people. Insensitivity flows in our consciousness even when we are dealing with things. And I remember one incident in my life when in college I was staying with many devotees together. I was part of the youth forum, ISKCON Youth Forum, and I was getting trained. So I used to stay with few 8, 10 devotees together, and we were practicing spiritual life. And so we were staying once in a dormitory kind of hall. Some gathering was there, and many of us were staying, and it was night, and we were going to sleep. And I was sleeping near the door, you know, and I was lying down there. The door was quite wide open, and other devotees, my seniors, people who were close to me, my friends, they had taken their beds and they were sleeping. Beside me, I had a very close devotee friend of mine. I respected him. He came to Krishna consciousness or spiritual life before me, and I saw him as a friend and as a senior as well. So he had slept. I mean, he had laid down already. So he requested me, "Can you please close the door?" Yes. So he requested me. And what I did, I was lying down and I just kicked the door to shut it. And he became so enraged. I thought, okay, what's the problem? And he said, "What is this you are doing?" I said, "Why, what happened? You only told to close the door." And he said, "But is this the way you close the door? What is this? Kicking the door and closing it? We should not do like that. Everything in this world, Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, Bhinna me prakriti ashva. Everything are separated energies of Lord. So we should be so sensitive to things around us, the way we are dealing with it. And everything is God given. We have not produced from our body anything. Everything Krishna is giving for our well-being, for facilitating our life. We should be respectful to everything and sensitive to how we deal. And that's an important point. If we practice insensitivity towards things, towards people who do not relate to us much, that same insensitivity would flow into our day in, day out relationships as well. So, my dear friends, it's important that we practice this quality of being sensitive all the time, not just to some people, sensitive to others. It's okay, doesn't matter. Not just to people, but to things as well. Yes. Okay. Next point, developing a virtuous vision. Why do you think a virtuous vision is required? It's important because, as the saying goes, familiarity breeds contempt. The more we stay close to people, it's natural for us, because of our conditionings, because of our mental state, that we tend to see faults in people. Yes, we fail to see any good, and we tend to see faults and pick up faults and start fighting from there. Yes, so it's very important to develop, to practice a virtuous vision. Yes, many times it happens, you know. Sometimes, let's say, many of our friends always keep helping us share notes, but one particular day, he fails because of some reason, or let's say he falls to a bad habit, and we immediately criticize. We do not stop. We are always so eager, to correct, to find faults, and to criticize people. Yes, and it happens in families where the wife is cooking every day. The mother or the wife in the family, every day they're cooking so wonderfully, and we don't bother to say thank you ever. But one day, salt is less, or it got burnt, and we speak all horrible kind of things. Similarly, the women in the house, or the family member, the women, they might not know that the husband or the father who's going out to work whole day, when they come to home, what mood they are in. They might not be always be ready to reciprocate, always be fresh or energetic enough to talk. Also, they might have got into a fight in office. That is possible. So in that case, it's not wise to start seeing that fault and point out and create a mess there. Yes. So in this regard, there are 5 ways that we can perceive people. And the 5 ways, step by step, are these. The first one is we can choose to see only bad and magnify it. Now, my dear friends, I remember a very strong analogy that my spiritual master, Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj, gives. Yes. So, in one of his talks, he tells that in all our hearts, and he gives the example of this is an example of a ancient, I think from Bible or Latin American literature, that every one of us have a good dog and a bad dog in our hearts. Same concept is given in Bhagavad Gita, where Devim and Asuric Prakriti, the divine and demoniac nature, exists in everybody, in our hearts. Yes. And in this wonderful analogy, Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he explains that in all our hearts, there sits these two dogs, the good dog and the bad dog. And they're all the time fighting with each other, howling and growling. And which dog do you think would win? Which dog do you think would win all the time, does win all the time? Many of you are telling bad dog. Okay. That's something honest. Yes, we feel that many a times the bad dog in our heart wins the game. Yes. But the real answer is the dog which we choose to feed wins. Yes. Did you think that way? The dog that we choose to feed wins. So, in that perspective, let's see how we can perceive people or how we can affect others people. The first category of us are we just see the bad and magnify it, which means we just feed the bad dog in others. Yes. So the person might be doing n number of good things. The father in the family might be working very hard, returning late at night, trying hard to earn money and provide all the necessities at home. But then, he might not pay attention once or twice. And we hold on to that and tell, no, father, you're not giving time. This is this, that is that. In friend circle, it happens. We just like it is said, if you have a white cloth and you have a small black dot, what would we notice? That dot only we'll see. We'll not see the vast expanse of the bright whiteness that's there all around. We would just see that dot. So that's the first category. People who see just bad and magnify it. The second one, see good and bad, neglect the good and focus on bad. That happens when people are envious. Just like we saw, even Shishupal was so envious of Krishna that he found faults in Krishna himself, although Krishna is faultless. Isn't it? And similarly, it happens in our life also. We find faults in people which are not even there because of our perceptions. And sometimes, yes, weaknesses are there, but we focus on that. Many times I have seen in my office situation also, there happened to be a fresher joining, and then what can we expect from a fresher who has joined recently? From my side, I have an experience of 10 years, and I can say, okay, fresher is very new, and we are supposed to teach him or her who has come in. But then I saw another lead who's just pinpointing the faults. She cannot do this, she cannot do that, she cannot do this. And what happened? She proved that that fresher is useless and worthless. Although there were good qualities and there was possibility that the fresher could learn, but just focusing on the negatives ruined that person and the relationship that person could develop with the team. Yes, that happens many a times. Third, see good and bad and be neutral to both. These are people like who are not bothered, who just see relationships as trouble, and they don't want to, they don't see good also, bad also. They're like inert. It's very rare to find such people, but there might be such cases. Fourth is the minimum level that we should target for. See good and bad, choose to focus on the good and neglect the bad. And that's, my dear friends, is the formula. Feed the good dog so much and starve the bad dog so much that the good dog eventually wins over the bad dog. You know, it might happen that when you stop feeding the bad dog would first howl more in resistance to not getting the food, but eventually it will become weak and it will not survive. Yes. So that way, fourth stage is something that we should target, and that's the stage where relationships start flourishing. We may see the faults in people, and one day there might be less salt in the food, or in sometimes there might be financial crisis, and the man in the house might be struggling to earn as much, and the woman in the house might be struggling to cook and provide for the children. But let's just not focus on the negatives and see the positive side. See that the person is putting sincere endeavors, trying hard to become better. Let's give us that chance. It's the fourth stage. And the fifth stage is the vision of a Paramahamsa, of a pure devotee. See the good and magnify it. That is the situation of pure devotees. And we have an example of Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. He could so naturally do this. Yes. Srila Prabhupada went to the US and he was amidst people who were drug addicts, sex addicts. And at that place, he was sitting, an old man, a sannyasi in the advanced age of 70 years, he was sitting and teaching the science of Bhagavad Gita to people who were high on drugs. But he just saw some good in them, that they are also soul, they also can be attracted to Krishna, and they are young, they can be engaged in the service of Krishna. And with that vision, Srila Prabhupada inspired thousands and thousands of people across the globe. And today we can see what kind of society he has built for us, just with the divine virtuous vision. Okay, moving on to the next. Correct cautiously. Now this is a tricky thing, and this is something that needs a lot of practice. Yes, we are many times in a position to correct. We are superior as a parent, as an elder brother, as a manager or a boss in a firm. In various situations, we think that there is a need for correction. Something is going wrong. Yes, and modern day, you see, everybody is eager to correct. Yes, you see the politicians, you see the film stars on Twitter, you see the sports people on Twitter, and everybody is just hurling criticisms and ready to correct the whole world and share criticism and corrections everywhere. But my dear friends, if you want to have a successful relationship, be very cautious when you are correcting. First and foremost thing, nobody in this world loves correction. No matter how good that person may be, nobody loves to be criticized or corrected. It is human nature. Let's just accept it. People don't always open up to corrections. We may plan for corrective criticism, constructive feedback, as we say in corporate world, but generally people have a lot of aversion. So it is important that we see our relationships as bank accounts. Now, when can we withdraw from our bank account? When there is money, which means when we have deposited money in our accounts. So very similar to that, correction is like a withdrawal from the bank account of our relationship. And unless we have invested, deposited huge amounts of funds in form of uh, respect, in form of appreciation, in form of love, in form of support, unless we have lots and lots of deposits in a relationship, that withdrawal, what happens? The check bounces. It becomes a criminal offense. Yes. So we won't be able to withdraw unless there is enough deposit, unless there is enough investment. So my dear friends, whenever you think something is not right and you want to correct a person, before going ahead, please ask yourself these 4 questions, which are very important. First thing, am I the right person? Do I have the authority to correct? Yes. Are you the boss of the team? Or do you have the hierarchical rights to correct? Or let's say you can beat your own son, but you can't beat your neighbor's son. You're not the right person. You can tell the neighbor, but it's not right. So ask yourself, are you the right person? Second, if you're the right person, do you have the right motive? Yes. Sometimes it happens, in offices. So obviously it happens in many relationships. It happens that the motive is not right. We are biased by our envy towards the person. In a team of many variegated people, the team leader sees a junior member as a threat because the junior member might be more skilled than the team leader. And the team leader goes behind that fellow and keeps correcting unnecessarily without the right motive. That's where things go wrong. We are not honest, or we don't give the proper correction at the proper time. Third thing, do I know the right way? So we might be the right person, the motive might be right, but what is the right way? Yes. Many times we don't know what is the right way, the way we communicate the correction. Yes. Sometimes we just vaguely tell that, oh, your deliverable is wrong. Oh, the dish that you've cooked is very bad. Yes. Straight on the face without any consideration of the right way or not. So yes, we have to know the right way. We have to seek the facts and present it for a correction to work properly. If we say somebody's deliverable or report is not right, we have to point out why we think it is not right. Yes. Maybe some graphs should have been included. In an office situation, I'm telling, let's say a boss tells a team member, your deliverable is all bad, your reports are all bad. This is not the right way to correct. You can say that these are the good things that you have done. I think if you include this chart here, that graph there, this data here, your report will be more complete. And that's the right way. And it will be accepted in the right way. Fourth, is this the right time? Timing is very important. Time, place, circumstances, we always have to keep in mind. When a person is very disturbed, sometimes we make a mistake and we are very disturbed and we are repentant. We know that we have made a mistake. On top of that, at that same time, if somebody comes and tells, "Hey, why did you do this? You have messed up everything." That time, that correction doesn't work at all. It backfires. The relationship goes on toss. Yes. So you have to ask these 4 questions: right person, right motive, right way, right time. Yes. Going forward, I'll take your questions and further discussions after I complete this. So please hold on your questions for the end. Forgive, that's a deep, subtle quality to develop. It's important that we forgive because people make mistakes or people do wrongs all the time. If we want to have long-lasting relationships, we have to develop this quality of forgiving others. Yes. And there are 4 important principles, to be brief, in this field. One is look beyond the situation. Look beyond the situation means there might be scenarios why people do a particular mistake or why people act harshly or speak harshly. Let's say somebody told me something and I felt very bad. So in that situation, maybe he is undergoing a lot of pain. So that's why he is reacting that way. So just don't focus in that particular situation. Look beyond it and see that, okay, this person is a good person, but because he is not in a right frame of mind, he's acting in this way. So let's look behind the situation and forgive him for this time. He's generally very good with it. First point. Second thing, separate the episode from the person. Yes, sometimes when we are angry and we are fighting and we say, this is your fault. And the other person said, no, you are wrong. Yes. Yes. So, let's say example of cooking. Sometimes, no matter how expert cooks are, sometimes food gets burnt. Those who have example of experience of cooking. I have myself experience of cooking for last 10, 12 years because I have stayed in hostels and I've been quite independent. So I love cooking and I do a lot of cooking, but then still food gets burnt all the time. Not necessarily person's fault. So in that scenario, let's say the other person burns the food and you say, you don't know how to cook. Yes, you have a problem. So it is important to remove the person from the episode. The episode is the food has been burned. It's not necessarily the person is wrong or bad or evil. The problem is food has been burned. So forgive the person, help him or her deal with the episode which has gone wrong. Yes, that's how we should always try to forgive people. Sometimes the food is burnt and we thrash the person so much that he or she never feels inspired to cook again. And I have seen in my life, my spiritual mentors, when I started cooking in my college days, my spiritual mentors would appreciate so much any small thing that I would cook, even if it would be tasteless or sometimes burnt or something, they would appreciate. So they would just see the good and appreciate. And if there was any problem, they would teach me, hold my hands and teach me personally. So separating the episode from the person is vital. Fourth point, justice. Yeah. What I mean by justice is, yes, we can forgive, but we have to make sure that anything which is really harmful should not be forgiven. Somebody who develops a habit of stealing, we should not say, oh, the person is good and he can keep stealing, or he can, somebody develops the habit of telling lies. So we cannot just say, okay, forgive him. We have to help that person, but not forgive to the extent that anything sinful or anything illegal happens. So even that we have to keep in mind. Coming to the last, but one of the most important points, 6 loving exchanges. And I am sure you would all relate to this. One of our very famous sages, saints, Srila Rupa Goswami, from 500 years ago, he was the follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he, in his instructions in the book called Upadeshamrita, he teaches, Dadati pratigrihnati, goyam akhati prichati, bhunkte bhajayate chaiva, shadavidim priti lakshanam. These are the 6 symptoms of loving relationships. Shadavidim priti lakshanam, symptoms of love. And these are things that we do quite often. And if we want to develop strong, good relationships, these are the 6 things that we should do. First, giving gifts, giving something. Sometimes in hostels we do, right? Take my bike and go, no problem. Yes. Or we share some clothes sometimes. Sometimes we get food from home, we share with our friends. Yes. Giving gifts, accepting gifts in return, giving food items. So dadati pratigrihnati means giving gifts, accepting gifts. Bhunkte bhojayate chaiva means bhunkte, accept food, bhojayate, give food, share of food. And this is an age-old technique to develop relationships. You see, even in the corporate world, when there is a client meeting that is supposed to happen and an important deal has to be discussed, the manager generally arranges the meeting over lunch. And first, a lot of pampering is given to the client, and they are taken to the best 5-star restaurant, and the discussion happens over lunch. So that helps in developing relationship. 5th and 6th, dadati pratigrihnati, goyam akhati prichati. reveal your heart in confidence with the other person. As the relationship grows thicker and closer, we have to reveal our heart in confidence. And when the other person reveals their heart in confidence, it is important that we hear and give time and be by their sides when we're hearing and maintain confidence. So these are the 6 exchanges that we should do to develop stronger relationships. The important part is that we have to choose the right people to do these 6 exchanges with. A relationship can uplift us and give us a happy, fulfilling experience, and a relationship can bring us down. So it is important for us to choose with whom we want to do these 6 loving exchanges, because the association would decide where we go. A person is known by the company he keeps. Yes. So, my dear friends, please be more alert with whom you are doing 6 loving exchanges, because many times we see if you want to become a drunkard, you associate with drunkards. If you want to become a drug addict, you associate with drug addicts. And that's how people get into addiction. They associate with people who are addicted. And if you want to come out of addiction, you associate with people who are trying their best to come out of the addiction. So, my dear friends, there's where you should be alert that while developing relationship, with whom we do the 6 loving exchanges. Yes. So with that note, I come to the conclusion, to the last slide of today of things to do. And I would like to hear from all of you, and I would like to take your questions. But before that, just a quick announcement for tomorrow. I have invited one of my senior, I would say, spiritual senior. I know a person. His name is Srinivas, Mr. Srinivas Nambiar. He stays very close to my family. We are almost like family friends, and he's practicing. His whole family, he, his wife, his daughter, they are practicing spirituality for a long time, and they are going to share their experience of their relationships in the family when they added Krishna consciousness or spirituality to it. So tomorrow they'll be there with us for the last 15 minutes and they would share their experience. So I would request all of you, please do not miss, please join in time. And he is also with the corporate world for last 20-25 years. So he's experienced in that way and he's going to share his thoughts and experience with us. Yes. So any questions? Any thoughts, anything that you particularly want to discuss? If you want to unmute, you can. If you want to paste in a chat, that's also good. Please let me know. Oh, yes. Thank you, Girish Balu, for reminding me. Tomorrow's session we will be doing early. We will be starting at 4 o'clock because we have another session from one of our seniors at 6 o'clock. So we'll be doing our session at 4. So please do not forget, tomorrow there's a change in time. We are starting early. We'll be starting at 4 o'clock. Okay. Kashi Vishwanath is telling, I have noted down points from this lesson, found it very helpful. Can I make a post out of this info and share on my Instagram? Yes, please share all the positivity, all the nice lessons that you learned. See, scriptures are so merciful. They're open books. And once we learn from the right person, please go and share the positivity out. And Instagram, I am there. Please do follow me so that I can also learn from you, whatever you're sharing. Yes. Any questions? I see people raising hands. Any questions? I know these are all very big topics. One thing, speaking sensitively, can be done as a full workshop, because in our company, especially in a corporate setting, we do a lot of practical things. Yes. So that way, one topic, these 5 topics can be one workshop in itself. And I'm sure all of you have just started your spiritual practice. There would be a time when we would have deep discussions on these based on Krishna consciousness, based on what is there in Bhagavad Gita. Yes. So if you have any questions, any particular thing, please let me know. Good, good. Raghunath is telling wonderfully that I have done some corrections with my friend and he started doing other mistakes in other ways and I have reprimanded him. Yes, somewhat harshly. Yes, we do all that. We do all that all the time. We become very harsh with people. We don't think, how would I feel if somebody would have spoken like that to me? So yes, thank you, Raghunatha Reddy. Okay, yes. Any other questions? If you don't have questions, thank you so much. If you have questions, we have our WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups, and we have the email ID shared with all of you. Please share your questions. Please keep writing. We get all your chats with us and we will keep answering all your questions. You have your spiritual mentors. Going forward, we'll have your connects. So yes, in that way, it's a journey of learning. But yes, thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for your patient hearing. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to share. Tomorrow is the last building block that we are going to learn for relationships. That stands for L. No points for guessing what L stands for. Many of you might have already understood. But yes, there are many details of it. So we'll discuss. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay. So one question comes here. Expecting from others is natural. But if that person is not fulfilling that expectations also, what to do? Ask yourself what you can do to help that person meet that expectation. Yes. Yes. So I can give two examples. One is in my team, one fresher joined, as I was telling, in my company, one fresher joined, and then she came with a lot of qualifications, and I thought that she has passed the interview, so she would be performing very well. But then when I started working with her, I saw she hardly had any idea about coding. And it was very difficult for me. So I mean, I had expected that I would just give her a task and she would do it and come back. But that was not possible. Then I thought, okay, from my side, how can I help her? So I split the task into smaller parts. And I told, instead of eat this watermelon, I cut the watermelon in small pieces and gave, eat this. Even sometimes she faltered. And then I told, okay, not like this, but like that. That is my experience in office. In my personal life, when I got married, obviously, because I had a previous experience of cooking, I was ahead in the skill than my wife. Many times it happens nowadays, not everybody is expert in cooking. So my wife was not to that extent, and I'm a foodie, and I already know cooking to a great extent, and it was a huge mismatch of expectation. And I was thinking, what's going on? So I had started becoming depressed. But then I asked myself with the same principle that let me put myself in her position. She had just completed her engineering and joined a job. She did not get the time to learn cooking. She was studying. So from that position, what support can I give that she can come to the stage of meeting this expectation of cooking nicely for both of us? And then whatever I knew of cooking, I shared with her tips or tricks. Sometimes, I mean, even now I love cooking. So in a week, twice or thrice I cook and she helps me. Sometimes she cooks and I help her and I share some tips and tricks. And like that, both of our relationship has become so good. And nowadays, obviously, she has picked up very fast and she has become far, far, far better than day one. What would have happened if I would have shouted at her from day one, you don't know cooking, what a fool you are, I got married to the wrong person? Just imagine what I would have done to my marriage. Yes, people go to marriage counselors and psychological counselors. No, why? These are simple things that we have to practice at our lives. Yes, Anuradha, I think did I answer your question to some extent? If somebody is not fulfilling your expectations, please be patient and please think how you can help that person meet the expectation that you have. And communicate it. Please be honest and sensitive and communicate that expectation. And discuss that out. Yes, many times it happens when I told my my fresher that why can't you do it, and she told I know this, I don't know this, I need time here to learn it. And I asked her what kind of trainings you need from my company. I will arrange for trainings for you. So there I set the expectation right, that I am going to help you get trained. You are going to take 3 months or 6 months to learn this technology and come up to this space. So empathy based expectations. Okay, any other question? Okay, so if we don't have any other question, we are good to go for today. Thank you so much. Abhishek Prabhu, Saurabh Prabhu, if you all are there, if you have something to add, something to announce, please pitch in.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Thank you, bro. It was a very wonderful session. I just wanted to tell about tomorrow's timings. So tomorrow the session will be at 4 o'clock. Yeah. So okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for arranging everything. Thank you, everyone. Please continue. Stay safe during the pandemic. Take care of your health. Take care of all your family members. Take the right care to protect yourself against COVID, and keep learning. Practice your Krishna consciousness nicely. Keep chanting and stay happy and stay safe. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.